All right, hello and welcome. Today, we're taking a little walk on the dark side of the dictionary. We're going to explore the words of sabotage, persecution, and betrayal. You know, the essential vocabulary for any great story, any epic conflict, or, dare I say, any truly memorable villain. Look, every great villain needs a great vocabulary, right? So we're going to frame today's words as a kind of villain's journey. Not because we want to be villains, of course, but because stories and characters are an absolutely fantastic way to make new words stick in your brain. We're going to follow the path from a simple, dark thought all the way to the bitter end. So where does it all begin? Well, every great conflict, every big drama, it always starts small. It begins inside, with just a feeling, a little seed of dislike, a tiny spark of anger that, if you let it, can grow into something so much bigger. And that seed, it often has a name, antipathy. Now, this isn't just, oh, I don't really like that person. No. Antipathy is a deep, strong, almost instinctual feeling of opposition. It's that quiet, simmering grudge a rival feels long before anyone even knows there's a problem. Now, you might hear antipathy and aversion thrown around like they're the same thing, but there's a really important difference. Antipathy is personal. It's aimed at a person. You feel antipathy for your rival. Aversion, on the other hand, is more about getting away from something, a situation, a food, whatever. So here's the key. Antipathy is about hostility, while aversion is about avoidance. Simple as that. Of course, antipathy rarely shows up alone. It's got a whole crew. Let's look at a few of its closest friends. First up, there's Umbrage. That's when you take offense because you feel like someone slighted you. That feeling can then boil over into pure wrath, which is extreme, vengeful anger. In a relationship, all that fighting creates acrimony, that deep, corrosive bitterness. And eventually, a person can become anathema to you, something you just despise on a fundamental level. Feelings like these, they have a way of not staying locked up forever, don't they? They start to bubble up, they demand an outlet, they want to be heard. And that brings us to the next stage of our little story. And this is where things really start to escalate. That internal hostility just erupts. The battlefield shifts from inside someone's mind to the public square. And the weapons, they're no longer just feelings. Now, they're words. And the main weapon in this war of words is calumny. This isn't just a simple insult, oh no. Calumny is a deliberate, calculated lie. It is specifically designed to completely destroy someone's reputation. It's the villain spreading vicious rumors they know are false, all to turn everyone against their enemy. So how is calumny different from, say, casting aspersions? Well, think of it in terms of scale. Calumny is the whole smear campaign. It's building an entire false story to ruin someone. Casting an aspersion is more like a single, targeted shot, a nasty remark, a damaging criticism. It chips away at them. Both are awful, for sure. But calumny is playing for keeps. And believe me, the verbal arsenal is huge. If you want a broad attack, you could vilify your enemy. Paint them as pure evil. For a more direct, furious assault, you could vituperate, which is just unleashing a torrent of violent, abusive language. A little less intense, but still pointed, is to upbraid someone, which basically means to scold them. And then, of course, there's the sharp, stinging weapon of caustic wit. Sarcasm so bitter, it actually burns. But eventually, words can start to feel, well, not enough. For someone just consumed by that wrath, insults and slander might not be enough to settle the score. And the conflict is about to take its most dangerous turn yet. This is our third stage, and this is where the conflict gets physical. Our villain decides that, you know what? Actions speak louder than words. And those actions are fueled by a truly malicious mindset. So let's just trace this whole path, shall we? It starts with antipathy, that internal hostile feeling. That bubbles up into calumny, the verbal attack. And when that's not enough, it gives way to the decision to assail, to physically attack. And often, the end goal of all of this is to avenge some wrong, whether it's real or just perceived. It's all about retribution. To actually commit acts like these, you need to be in a certain moral state, and that state is called turpitude. Moral turpitude is that depravity, that wickedness of character that lets someone cross the line from just angry words to truly harmful deeds without even blinking. And two words really define this mindset perfectly. To be callous means you have a cruel disregard for how others feel. You just don't care who you hurt. And a wanton act of violence? That's one that is totally deliberate and, this is the key part, unprovoked. It's destruction just for the sake of destruction. And these mindsets, well, they lead to some pretty terrible things. To assail someone is to violently attack them. But the conflict can also lead to more premeditated criminal acts. For instance, a villain might choose to abduct their foe, kidnap them using force or deception. But here's the thing, no conflict goes on forever. After the deeds are done, after the revenge has been had, what's left? Well, usually it's just the bitter aftermath, the emotional and social fallout from this whole destructive journey. The raw hostility might be gone, but it's often replaced by something else. The epic battle might be over, but it can live on as an altercation, a loud, messy, public argument. The war is over, but the skirmishes, they just keep on coming. And what about our villain, or their victim, for that matter? They're often left to do one thing: wallow. Now, this word can mean indulging in pleasure, but it's used so powerfully for negative states. They wallow in their misery, or their self-pity, or even their bitter victory, stuck, just completely stuck in the very emotions that started this whole mess in the first place. So there you have it, a whole vocabulary built around the anatomy of a conflict. And these aren't just words for bad guys in stories. They're incredible tools for describing the complex and, sometimes dark parts of human nature with way more precision. So now that you've got the villain's lexicon, which wicked word are you going to master first?